Wow, what a way to end the home portion of the schedule. It's a walk-off. It's excitement. There is a lot to talk about as the Rangers start the final week of the regular season. It's the DLLS Rangers Postgame podcast. It comes your way next. The Rangers' bats were quiet, silent, Stephen, until they weren't. And then they made some big noise, a couple of bangs from Wyatt Bangford. Yeah, how about Wyatt Langford? And then another from Leote, and the Rangers get the game tied and ultimately win it with a walk-off in the ninth. John Radigan here with Abby Jones. Jeff Wilson joins us a little later on in the program. We were just watching in awe as Wu kind of wooed the Rangers into submission, and the next thing you knew, they came alive. That third time through, and away we went.
Yeah, it's an up and down game, no doubt about that. But, you know, I think it's so fitting that the Rangers finished the last home game of the 2024 season with a walk-off win, because we've been calling them the walk-off Warriors all season long.
No doubt about it. They've been great at that. They've done it so many times, and they've really done it more than their win total would indicate. And they did it today with patience. That's one of the things you love to see, because they had to be patient offensively, and they had to keep working the game plan. Each and every one of them go to the plate. Every time they go up there with a game plan, and each and every one of them stuck with it. And that's the key. That's how you break through on a guy, especially a guy like Wu, who is he's got great stuff, and he's off to a great start this season in his career. And he's only 24 years old, and the Rangers got to him there in the sixth.
Yeah, and we're going to break down, you know, his unique ability with his pitch arsenal and just how he orchestrates his own game, because it is incredibly interesting. These days, players just care about strikeouts. Typically, that's not the case with Wu. It works in his favor majority of the days until the sixth inning today. And also, I want to point out that March 28th, opening day, ended with a walk-off. And now they're closing out the season with a walk-off, so it's a full circle moment at Globe Life Field.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Abby called it. If you're over watching, we ask you to like us, subscribe to us. And Abby said during the pregame edition of Rangers at DLLS pregame, that is, she said, you know what, you'll be disappointed in the Cowboys by then. Come on back over and watch it. And look, who's not? I mean, you know, the Ravens are running all over them, and we're talking all about this Cowboys game, or this Rangers game. We're also going to get to Aaron Judge. Big day for him. We'll talk about that. We've got playoff races to talk about too. Jeff will join us with post-game thoughts on this one, but we really have a lot to talk about with regard to this game and really the home portion of this schedule, Abs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get into today's game, because really there wasn't anything happening offensively at all until that sixth inning, and it was Wyatt Langford, the 3-run home run. I mean, if you look at this guy's numbers in September, it is just ridiculous. Before the game even started, he was hitting .319 with 11 extra base hits, 4 home runs, 17 runs, 12 RBIs.
Yep.
I was losing my train of thought there. And then you add in today's math to this equation. I am genuinely so excited to see the last game of the season, because in my mind, he's winning Rookie of the Month for the month of September,
right.
No doubt.
Right. And so before the game, he was honored with his Rookie of the Month for the month of June award. Why it took so long to come here from New York, I have no idea. But maybe, maybe they're trying to save it and give him all the fun and all the, accolades toward the end of the year. But anyway, Wyatt Langford was honored on the field beforehand and presented with that American League Rookie of the Month award, a very coveted award. And look, if he wins it this month, which certainly those numbers would say he will win it this month. If he wins it this month, that's 2 of the 6 times that award has been presented. That's a pretty good track record, and it'll keep him in the conversation. Still likely won't get him the Rookie of the Year award, but it might actually help him rise up those ranks just a little bit. A game like today, a big, home run that was the breakthrough in this game is also something that will help sort of sway voters.
Yeah, and I love how you said that, he's going to be on the podium, because he certainly will, and you wish that he would have had this kind of success all throughout the season. But I think that his rookie season is a great campaign for him to, number one, know what it takes to play in 162 games, which I know that he was injured with the hamstring, but he was a part of the Rangers season for a large majority of it. So if he can stay healthy next year, I think he's going to have such a leg up on the competition because of the daily reps that he got. I think that he will be and continue to be a daily player. And Bruce Bochy, compared his rookie season to Buster Posey. I mean, that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, Posey had a pretty good career. Yeah,
right, so he's in good company. He's going to iron out the kinks. Of course, he's a man of very few words, so we talked to him about his goals for the rest of the season. He said, I just want to finish strong. Rats, I think he's doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. It's a focus. It's a determination. And, Jeff actually brought this up on a podcast earlier. We were just talking about what kind of adjustments can he make to what he does? And Abby's talked to all the guys. He is the gym rat, okay? Wyatt Langford is the guy who is working, really never stops working. And that's noble, right? You can applaud that, except that in this game where he's never played in a 162-game season, and in this game, too much work can be a deterrent, and it can really hurt you down the stretch. Now, what Wyatt has done, Boch mentioned it, Wyatt has already reduced the number of swings he takes, right? We're talking batting practice swings. We're talking, personal side work. We're talking hitting off the tee. All of those things take energy. All of those things require you to burn calories and to get tired. And by the end of the year, you don't want tired baseball players, right? You want them as fresh as they can be. Everybody's got something. That's the mantra this time of year. Everybody's got something. Wyatt Langford has already figured out that piece just a little bit to realize, it's different than it was in college. In college, I just outworked everybody and I had the success I had. Here, if all you do is outwork everybody, first of all, everybody at this level is so much more talented. And secondly, if all you do is work, you're going to wear yourself out.
No doubt about that. And I'd be really interested to sit down and listen to a conversation with Marcus Semien and Wyatt Langford in this offseason because, we talked to Marcus in depth yesterday about his availability. And the best ability in any game at any level is availability. And Marcus Semien has made a name for himself in being such a consistent player, not missing any games. He said, if I'm not talking to you guys, then I am in the weight room or on the field. So I think that Marcus is truly such a great veteran resource for him to talk about the workload of going to the gym, because my brother's a hitting coach at colleges and he says I have to remind hitters so many times that it can't be like 50-50 on the field and in the weight room. You really have to equally distribute all of this, because if you just are in the weight room, that doesn't equate to home runs and, offensive things that really help your team out. So again, we've talked about Wyatt Langford has played more baseball in this past few months than he's ever played in his entire life. I mean, a baseball season's 162 games a year. In the last 3 years, college and minors, he played like 175 games total. So
3 years.
3 years.
Compared to one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, I don't really want to use the term grace period because I don't even think he needs grace. I think he's made a great statement on his first year in the league, but I'm very excited to see year number 2.
No doubt about it. And let's mention Marcus. Let's not forget the fact that Marcus was the one who drove in that all-important winning run in the 9th inning as he he came up and hit a single there in that ninth inning and drove Leody Taveras home. Leody had a home run in the game too, but as it pertains to that conversation we had with Marcus yesterday, I was surprised that he mentioned the weight room a few times. And if you look at Marcus, you don't think of him as like a weightlifter, a bodybuilder type. But here's what he's doing when he goes in there. He's doing the right program to help his body recover, to keep his body at whatever they have all determined is his peak for playing a baseball season and for playing 162. Look, that's his goal. We asked him, are you going to play the rest of the games this season? He said, well, I haven't been asked not to, right? So if they don't ask
it's
me...
like over his dead body will he not play.
Yeah, if they don't ask him not to play, he's playing.
Right.
That's his mentality.
And he will play because he's got a pretty special weekend coming up, which we will get to. But no, I think there does have to be a mental shift of the weight room when you're a professional athlete. Because I think in your day-to-day, when you're a young kid growing up in a sport, you just want to be the strongest. You just want to be the fastest, all these things. Marcus says, I have to do all of these things because I'm not the most talented.
Yeah.
I don't have this God-given talent and speed and ability and things like that. And so with all of the analytics and science and data that they have now, Marcus has learned things that he can do to increase these little pieces that collectively affect his game in a massive way.
Yeah.
And I think Wyatt is learning the workload. Again, I'm going to go back to that, but just a heck of a September for Wyatt Langford. And the month isn't even over.
No. And it's funny, too. One of the things that Marcus mentioned yesterday, someone asked about not only his availability for games, but his availability to the media so that, we have the information we need to help tell the public the story, right? To tell the fans. And he said, look, that's the way I was raised. He said, I was raised in the White House, the White Sox clubhouse, easy for you to say. And he had the likes of Paul Konerko in there as his veteran, teaching him, this is what you do. And I asked, Marcus at the time, I said, do you feel a need to teach any of these guys? And he said, they're all watching me. He goes, but if any of them aren't doing right by you guys, let me know. I'll have a conversation with them, which is wonderful. And really, everybody in that Rangers clubhouse, we find them very approachable and they're accountable.
Of course.
That's the big thing, right?
Yeah,
especially in a tough season like this. Yeah, they don't want to talk.
Yeah,
but they know that there are certain days that they have to talk.
So I was talking to the Rangers trainer, Lucky, and we were just discussing off-season plans. It was like, realistically walk me through, what these next few days are going to look like for the baseball players. And he shared, they are going to come up with their own plan. We're not too hands in on it. These are grown men and they know their body. They know the results that they want to have. And so we were talking about that. And Lucky was I asked him, because I think back in like my dad's day of playing baseball, Miguel Cabrera, my dad got into a fist fight with Miguel Cabrera over his workload because he would eat like 10 pancakes and maybe touch his toes. And then he would go out and hit 3 home runs in the game. And my dad's like, this dude's insane. I'm over here, I'm 40, I'm stretching, I'm killing myself just to like put together a solid inning of work. And then this guy's just crunching on Fruit Loops and then crunching on the bat. Like, it's insane. So I asked him very candidly, I said, is there anybody that's just not hardworking, but just God-given ability? They don't really have to try. And he was like, every single person here is such a workhorse. There is nobody that's going to come into spring training looking like they've taken time off. And I think that is really, really rare these days.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think that players do, focus. First of all, they have the money to be able to focus on getting themselves ready for spring training. But to your point, I think the guy that I've seen around here that was most like Miguel Cabrera in that regard, because Miguel Cabrera could wake up out of bed and hit a double, right? So, and the guy we've had around here that was most like that was Josh Hamilton, right? Yeah. He's toolsy, right? He had all the tools, he had all the ability, he had all the experience ultimately, and he was that guy that didn't really need to work that hard. It's just making the most of your God-given ability. So those are very interesting, and they're also few and far between players like that. So what you end up with is players like so many of them that the Rangers have today that do the things that the Rangers did today, which are really fun when you grind through a game, when you fight through all of the sort of adversity that could cloud your head when you've now gone, what was it, 5 no-hit innings today? And this is how many times in a row we've seen the Rangers being no hit through 5 innings, and they're just like, oh my gosh, here we go again. But they didn't let that mentality overwhelm them. They didn't let it get them down.
Right. And they did stay on pace with their track record of no run support for Andrew Heaney.
Right.
Gosh, you feel for that guy. With a loss today, he would have tied 2 pitchers in Major League Baseball with 15 losses, the worst record in Major League Baseball. And when you look at Andrew Heaney's ERA on the season, the numbers just don't do it justice, because if you're a box score watcher, you think he's horrible. You go back and watch the games. It was lights out pitching. It was a little under Andrew Heaney's level of competition today. 5 2/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and 1 home run. But Andrew Heaney still put together a good collective piece of work. That offense was able to help out in the 6th, helped out big in the 7th, and then walked it off.
Yep, they walked it off. But incidentally, I just looked more closely at the scorebook. Zeke had a single in the 3rd, so they weren't being no hit till the 5th, but that was it, right? That was it through 5 innings, was just that Zeke single. Jonah Heim adds a single that later ultimately allows him to score. So just one of those, another one of those frustrating days where nobody could seem to get it together, and yet ultimately everybody got it together. And the bottom of the order figured mightily in this victory. You always love that when your 7, 8, and 9 hitters can come through in a big way, which they did today, especially Leody Taveras, who had that home run, had a single, and scored the winning run in this game. So we're wrapping up a Rangers victory in game number 81 out of 81 on the home portion of the schedule. We've got lots more to talk about with this one. Jeff Wilson will join us from Globe Life Field, where he's chatting with so many of the guys, and certainly with Bruce Bochy, to get their thoughts on how this one feels, how it feels to end the season on such a high note, or at least the home portion of the season on such a high note. We'll get to that. We get to that Aaron Judge accomplishment. Hang around for that and more on the wild card races too. But first, we want to tell you that you need to go to Empire today. This place is awesome. It is the best place you can possibly go to get flooring. When my wife and I first bought the place we're in now, it was about 20 years old. Now it's sneaking up on 25. We've already replaced all the flooring in the upper level of this home. Downstairs is next. And I'm not making the same mistake I made the first time.
Yeah.
When I just went to, hate to admit it, I went to one of the places you might buy a hammer. Let's put it that way, the big box stores, right? And it was not a good experience, not in the least. It haunted me. Well, it still haunts me a little bit, but it literally haunted me for 2 or 3 years. So I'm going to Empire today next. They are the best, right? They sort of pioneered this business in this marketplace. There's no doubt about it. They are fantastic quality. They are imitated all the time. And I'm sure that's kind of what I fell for, was one of the many imitations. They don't have the quality, and they don't have the experience or the expertise, and they don't stand behind what they do, which is exactly what Empire Today does for you. So you want to go there. The other thing, and Abby's mentioned this before, you take a picture of the floor that you want to be fixed in your house, to be redone in your house, and then they can, through technology and an amazing app, they can put whatever floor you request into that. So you can see it, right? You can see the room with that floor or that carpet or that wood before you buy. But in order to buy, get a free estimate. They'll do that for you. And also, they'll give you a $350 bonus, man, right off. All you got to do is use EmpireToday.com and use the /DLLS. That's the code, DLLS, $350 off your floors.
Well, look at that. The Rangers put on a show for the home crowd. 2.6 million fans in 2024 came through Globe Life Field, an average of 32,000 per game. That's the
beautiful.
highest attendance since 2016. And guess what, Rads?
Tell me.
I'm guessing that at least 30,000 of these fans could use Z-Biotics. Do you want to know why?
Yes.
Because the Rangers just walked it off.
Yeah, dang right.
And do you think they're having a little beverage or two?
Yeah.
Actually, my friend, there's a speakeasy at Globe Life Field. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah, I've been in. Yeah, it's great.
Is it nice?
Yeah.
Well, next time that you go, maybe we should go before a game. You need the Z-Biotic, the Z-Biotic product.
The drink, yeah.
Because you don't have to choose between a fun night or a fun morning. You just get to do both. It's a win-win situation. We've got a 15% off code. It's the first pre-alcohol generated probiotic. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle the rough mornings. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into toxins. It's a byproduct in the gut, and this byproduct leads to dehydration. I guarantee a lot of people weren't drinking water today. And that's why you have a rough day.
Yeah.
So it's an enzyme that breaks down the product, and it kind of just makes life a little bit more fun.
It does.
You need Z-Biotics 15% off. Use code DLLS Rangers. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/DLLS Rangers. Thank you, Z-Biotics, for sponsoring this episode. Also, pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money-back guarantee. So if you are unsatisfied, you can get your money back.
Beautiful. Make your first drink a prebiotics, a Z-Biotics, and a prebiotics.
And there's Jeff.
Standing by. And that's great timing. We just finished the ad break, and the
how's Old Boach doing today?
Nature of this win makes it just so much fun, doesn't it? To just sort of end the home portion of the season this way.
Yeah, John, it's kind of like when you make a birdie on 18. You know, you've had a crappy round, but you birdie 18, so you want to come back the next time. So, you know, this might bring some fans back next year. Who knows? But it's the best way to end the home campaign. It looked pretty lousy for 6 innings, honestly, or 5.5. And then, you know, Wyatt Langford hit his home run and kind of got everybody fired up. And good game for Leody Taveras with his tying home run. And then that hit in the stolen base in the 9th, you know, huge, you know, the ability to steal a base when you need to steal a base, when everybody in the world knows you're going to try to steal second base, and to do it. Not a lot of guys can do that. And Leody is a talented guy. I know he hasn't had the year that everybody, including himself, wanted him to have, but you see the talent in just the last 3 innings. So good for him, good for the Rangers, good for the fans. Like Abby said, more than 2.6 million, the highest attendance since 2016. The Rangers won a division that year. They didn't win a division this year. They were coming off a World Series, but still, it was, the writing's been on the wall for a while, and the fans have still come out in droves.
Yeah, and one of the things too, when we compare the attendance from this year or any year in Globe Life Field to the ballpark across the way, now called Choctaw, that was a much bigger seating capacity.
Yes.
You know, now the sellout is 40,000.
Right. I think they started around 38 and a half, somewhere around here. But yeah, your point's well taken. It's I think the all-time attendance record is 51,000 across the street. I mean, that, you know, you're not going to get that here without pissing off the fire marshal. So it's yeah, that the average was 32,000. I would guess that at 2.6 million across the street, well, I guess the average would be the same, but the empty seats would be higher. So just you know, the roof makes a difference, winning makes a difference. But like I said, since really the All-Star break in the second half, when the Rangers have kind of been not playing well, the fans have still showed up.
All right, so obviously you talked to Boach. How does he feel? How was he feeling about, you know, the way this one played out?
Yeah, really good. You know, the happy clubhouse. It's going to be a happy flight. They're heading out of town to Oakland tonight with the off day tomorrow. But yeah, you know, everybody's happy after a win, and you know, even Andrew Heaney was happy, and so that's that tells you something. And but the manager liked the way they came on the last 5 innings. I mean, Seattle has a very good pitching staff. Brian Wu is a really good pitcher. And for the Rangers to get 4 against him, and then to get the winning run off of their all-star closer, pretty good stuff. And, you know, it carries on the theme that Bruce Bochy was talking about at the start of the homestand, which is keep playing hard. Don't lay down for anybody. Respect the game. Respect the pennant race and the playoff picture. And the Mariners are competing for a playoff spot. And I don't know how the Angels turned out. I know the Astros were losing. If the Mariners win that game, they have a chance to make up a game in the standings, and they weren't able to do that. So, and if the Angels came back, I don't know, or if the Astros came back,
Houston
I don't know.
lost.
Okay. So Seattle had a chance to make up ground and couldn't do it. That's respecting the Rangers. Were respecting the game, honoring the integrity of the playoff race, even if it means doing it for Houston, their rival. They still did their job, won the game. So had a winning, broke even on the homestand. Nobody needs to say that this team is quitting, because they're not.
Yeah. That's fantastic. And I do wonder, too, you were talking about how for 5.5 basically innings, things weren't really going well, and that may be typified by that top of the 6th, where we had the rare 2-error play that allowed a run to score. And of course, they scored 3 runs in that 6th inning. At that point, it looked like the Mariners had pretty much broken this game open. I think sometimes, Jeff, that motivates guys, right? Like you feel so bad that, for at least one play out there, you look like little leaguers, and you get in there and prove you're not.
Look, Victor Robles was out twice on that play. If Marcus Semien catches the initial pickoff throw from Matt Festa, he's out. And then if Josh Smith's throw doesn't go into the runner, and the runner doesn't go into Ezekiel Duran, then Robles is out at third base. So it's a frustrating play, and there were some boos after that. Maybe it was Robles kind of shaking his head and doing some, I don't want to say gyration going into the plate, but
yeah,
it was a bad play, and the Rangers had this guy dead to rights and didn't get it. So it's and Marcus, it turns out, gets the winning hit. I don't know if the mistake fueled that or not, but maybe hearing the boos did wake him up a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe the Mariners got a little comfortable. I don't know, but hey, however it worked out, it worked out. It was a little unusual for. I think they had 1 hit going into that inning, and they ended up winning the ball game.
Yeah, and it's almost like, we've come so close to these one-hit ball games as of late for the Rangers, and specifically against Seattle. I mean, if you look at how much they've outscored us in this season series alone, it's kind of absurd. And, it's one of those things you can't really make sense of why a team does so well against another team. But one thing that Rads pointed out during the game today was Bryan Woo and just his efficiency, because like we talked about, he's a guy that doesn't care about getting strikeouts, and for him to be effective in other ways than a strikeout is pretty rare these days. It's, I think that plays a challenge to hitters when you're not used to seeing a guy that's, going to attack the zone like you're normally used to. And it's good that the Rangers were able to get some type of offensive power from it.
Yeah, they figured him out eventually, and that was great. But he is a guy, Jeff, that is, somewhat. I mean, first of all, he's pretty powerful and got great stuff to go with it, and he's tough to figure out.
Yeah, and he's young too. I mean, a lot of these Mariners starters who are so good are under control for a long time. The Rangers are going to see them for a long time. So, it's going to be a game of adjustments for the next several seasons. I mean, Bryan Woo, I think he ran out of rookie status last year, but he came from AA, and he has a 3.02 ERA. He's been hurt this year a little bit, but the guy's good, and these Seattle pitchers are all around the strike zone. They throw a lot of strikes. They do have good enough stuff to get strikeouts, but when you get ahead in the count just by throwing quality strikes, it just makes the game so much easier. You can do whatever you want really if you're constantly ahead 1-2 or 0-2 in the count. So for the Rangers to either go into attack mode and swing early on Woo, because he stayed in that inning quite. I mean, he finished that 6th inning. It's not like he was getting worked to death and grinded into the ground. The Rangers were just figuring out a way to solve them. Maybe they adjusted and were swinging earlier in at bats, but whatever it was, it worked. And those are the adjustments. That's the game within the game. But like I said, I mean, in 2028, Brian Wu, I think, is going to be a member of the Mariners. So the Rangers are going to see plenty of them.
Right. And, I do want to point out that he just doesn't have good luck against the Rangers because Brian Wu has a 2.8 ERA in the American League, only trailing Skubal and Valdez with pitchers with at least 100 innings, but he's 0 for 2 with a 12 ERA against the Rangers. Yeah. So it's, again, George Kirby is a guy that's really, really good against the Rangers, and then Brian Wu's not so much, and, we see how those play out.
Yeah, you'll see, it's an inning like that sixth inning that helps drive that ERA up significantly, no doubt. We also saw how good he can be, and to Jeff's point, how good he will be in the future against this Rangers team. So that's definitely something to look for. It's definitely something the Rangers want, too, as they continue to develop pitchers. Chris Young was on the television broadcast. I'm not sure how much Jeff heard of that. We're going to pick his brain about some of the things we heard CY say during the broadcast. We've got to get to that Aaron Judge accomplishment a little later in the program, too. But first, Abs, you're going to tell us how to become a really special person in our world.
Like our very best friend?
Yeah.
Well, you need to become a diehard because Jeff put something behind the paywall again. And,
that makes you smile.
Yeah, it's really good because you just can't give your best stuff for free sometimes.
That's right.
We want to play the game and give you guys tons, but we're already giving you so much. So just go ahead and become a diehard for $79.99 a year, because then you can get exclusive content. We have incredible staff across the board with our Cowboys, Mavericks, Stars, and Rangers. But when you become a diehard, you really join the family. And we feel that we have a family industry and, a family environment here, I should say. The Cowboys crew is upstairs watching the Cowboys game. And we're all here watching together, spending our weekends together. So just become upgrade your fandom. Just become a diehard. Join the Dallas community today. You get a free shirt, which we'll tell you more about. You get access to premium diehard level content, 20% off of all merch. You get 20% off of events that we are so excited to get to. You get a member card, so you can actually have something physical, which I think is kind of cool, because we were talking about library cards with David Robertson. He loves them.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, just how cool that number one, it's free, and then you get a library card. So same thing. You get a card here, and then there's the Discord lounge for diehards only.
Yep.
So become a diehard today, alldlls.com. You won't regret it.
Yeah, and you'll get that free shirt, which Abby mentioned. She also mentioned the family sort of nature of becoming a diehard, because here at All City, here at DLLS, we are one family. And I love actually that when they sort of send emails or Slacks or whatever they send to us, they say, hey, Rangers fam, we're all a part of the family. We want you to be a part of the family too. And one way to show that you're a part of the family is to wear the same gear that we're able to wear, that we're going to wear. It's not quite out yet. Might ship as soon as tomorrow. But go to store.allcitynetwork.com and go see our merchandise, because it's getting closer and closer to the time that it will ship, and you'll be able to wear it, and you will be walking around town wearing a DLLS shirt, and then some people will ask you, what's DLLS? And you'll tell them, oh man, it's really podcast. Cool. It's a great podcast. You got to check it out. They cover all the sports. And by the way, Rangers fans, can I just throw a little thank you out there to you? We have had the most viewed clip. We send out clips after the show.
We need a round of applause for Elijah, too.
Yeah, Elijah, our producer, the
Woo-hoo!
Rangers podcast. We're up at around 16,000. So, and we're putting more distance between us and the competition. It's because of you.
It's because of you guys.
Wear that merch too.
And
that's another way.
Ohtani.
Yeah, that one. Shohei had something to do with it. Wear that merch too, because that's another way for you to support us. We really appreciate you. Keep the chat lines coming. Like us, subscribe us, and buy that merch. Will you please?
Buy the merch, baby.
Yeah, that's what we need you to do. All right, so Chris Young joins the broadcast today. Jeff, were you able to listen in?
I could not hear a thing.
Okay, no problem.
We'll give you the rundown.
Yeah, we'll give you some of the stuff that was covered. And look, a lot of it is, the same things, of course, that we've asked him before, but, slightly different takes. And, of course, one of them had to do with the free agent or potential free agent pitchers out there. And, basically there are 4 that are of great concern to the Rangers, 2 starters, Scherzer and, of course, Nathan Eovaldi, and then 2 relievers, David Robertson and Kirby Yates. And, CY went through each case, the starters and then the relievers, and basically said, yeah, we want all 4. Now, are we going to be able to get all 4? I don't know, but that's our goal, right? We're going to, absolutely try to get all 4 of those guys back in a Rangers uniform next year. There was a sincerity and an intensity among him, or, as he said this, Cowboys are doing something apparently. If you hear the noise, and probably a 70-yard field goal by Brandon Aubrey. That's the only way they can score apparently. But anyway, so there was a sincerity, right, and an intensity about it that made me think, like, he's not just blowing smoke here. They really want to make an all-out effort to bring each and every one of those 4 pitchers back.
Hey, look, let me throw this out. Would you rather have Max Scherzer back or Andrew Heaney, based on the evidence at hand?
Yeah, good point.
Heaney's going to be a free agent too. ERA right around 4, maybe a tick under. Made 30 starts this year. He's going to make 31. I know he hasn't had the wins. That's not his fault, the run support. But there's another free agent that the Rangers are going to have to replace, and maybe they do it with Scherzer. It's going to have to be, I would think an incentive-laden deal, 1-year deal, I would think. But I think that the 2 bullpen guys are critical to this too. I would say Eovaldi, Yates, Robertson, Scherzer would be my picking order. Gosh, I mean, look what those 2 guys did today. In the 8th and the 9th, they came in, they closed the door, they kept the Mariners from getting anything. They got the Rangers right back into the dugout to start hitting again, and they ended up winning the game. And then Abby mentioned the stat the other night. They were 60-15 when those 2 pitched in a game, so I guess they're 61-15 now. I think the Rangers are 61-1 this season after the 9th inning, I think, with the lead, I guess. So they'd be 16-1. They didn't have the lead entering the 9th inning today. But the point is, those 2 have been fantastic. And, of all the things that the Rangers have gone wrong for the Rangers this year, those 2 guys have been absolutely fantastic. So if you're going to contend, you would think that you would, want Nathan Eovaldi back, and then those 2 relievers. And if you can afford to do all 3, then do it. Figure out a way via trade to upgrade the offense, to save some payroll, even if it takes trading away a John Gray or a Tyler Mahle, let's say, to free up the money to sign Yates and Robertson and Eovaldi. Do it. I just think that those 3 guys are winning pieces and guys that you would want on your team if it's your intention to contend. And of course, the Rangers' intention is to contend next year.
Yeah. No doubt about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So CY was talking about, basically already being in postseason. I mean, not postseason, but in planning for next season mode, right?
Yeah, sure.
And that's natural. We've seen it. We've been having the conversations for a month. But he really did bring up the fact that, you play that extra month. The Rangers played into November last year, and he's not that far removed from doing that himself. And the reality is, losing that month of off season is significant. And since people don't repeat anymore, it's not like you get a lot of practice of having a full month extra in the season. And he said, it's on players to do it. It can be a learned behavior, but the reality is, it affects them. And that's one of the things the Rangers, I think, are grateful. The only thing they're grateful for, that the season is going to end next Sunday.
Bruce Bochy also talked about, kind of what went wrong this year, and wondered if the guys didn't, or, navigate their off season the proper way. Like some of them just stayed on their normal routines, which, for a lot of guys, as they start throwing November 15th. Well, the season ended November 1st, so instead of taking 6 weeks off, he took 2 weeks off. And, I know Marcus Semien was one of those guys, and Josh Sborz also. And, Josh Sborz has been banged up all year. He said he's going to be activated Tuesday, by the way. So that'll be good for him to get in a couple games late at the year and go into the off season feeling good. But yeah, I think they are. I think they always knew it might be a factor. I don't think they wanted to admit that it was, but now that they are where they are, and as they're dissecting their season, and maybe their medical people have noticed something, a trend, if you will, that points to the guys didn't get enough rest, or they didn't get enough rest through the season. We're talking about earlier this week, Wyatt Langford learning how to manage his workload during the season. Well, if guys were tired this year, they should have done that, or in the off season they should have taken time off. So it's going to be a learning experience, and you hope that next off season the Rangers can apply it because they've won the World Series. But you look at what the Astros have done. It's been really phenomenal to go to 7 straight ALCSs. That's a lot of baseball, and that's basically, it's not. They've only gone to the World Series, I guess, 3 of those times, which is pretty dang good. But that's a lot of ball, and they've figured out a way to do it at some point. So yeah, you gotta. It's tough, it's a grind, and I think that the Rangers have learned from that. But there's also some injuries that I don't think they could have foreseen that happened, and I don't know if those were caused by fatigue or not. But it's a factor for sure, and it's good to hear that they're kind of finally at recognizing that, or at least admitting it.
Yeah, and I think it adds perspective on those teams that just continue to make the postseason and go all the way to the World Series year after year. I mean, I don't even play, and I have such a new respect for the media people that do that, because I even felt like it was such a grind from our side of things, and we're not doing near as much as they
nothing
are.
physical.
Right, yeah. So, I mean, it is real. And it's not an excuse, but it is a reason. I think also I love what Chris Young said today about, I mean, Bochy made the joke, like, I'm 0 for 4 with a repeat. And it's true, because I don't think it showcases how hard it is to do it again. I think it showcases how hard it was to do it in the first place. I mean, you have to have a lot of things go right. And the 2023 Texas Rangers did. Sometimes it didn't look like, I mean, we were at this point last year thinking, are we even going to make the playoffs? So I think that it just speaks on the volume of how difficult it is to even get there to begin with, to win the title first. I mean, let's not be greedy. Like, we got one, we'll take another. And if you stay on pace with Bruce Bochy, we're due, Yeah,
and I think that the point with Chris Young is, the goal and the point is for the Rangers to be what the Astros are, right? I mean, he told us when we talked to him initially, the first time we had a chance to chat with him after he had gotten the promotion and the new contract, was, look, there was nothing I wanted to do more than win, help my hometown team win a World Series. And that's exactly how I feel about the next one. And he'll feel that way about the one after that. And really, it's interesting when you bring up those Astros, Jeff, they are the ones that are most practiced at figuring out a shorter offseason, because they have gone to all those ALCSs, maybe not quite a month every year, but close to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess the way the wild card's been structured recently, it's been an extra series in some cases, although they had the bye last year. But actually, they did. I don't think they did have the bye last year. I misspoke. But in any event, it's a lot of baseball, and these are guys who, you're not getting any younger. I mean, now maybe it's taken a toll on a guy like Justin Verlander, who's a little older now, and some of their starting pitchers have broken down this year. Maybe you can point to that, just wear and tear. But 7 years. Let's say you play an average of 12 games in the postseason for 7 years. That's half a major league season. So you're making, if you're a starting pitcher, that might be, I don't know, 12 more starts for you, depending on how it works out. So it's a lot. And I do think that, catcher's the big position. I think, I think we've seen it with Jonah Heim this year, just kind of worn down a little bit, maybe. I'm sure he won't make that excuse because he wants to catch, 160 games a year. But I think it's hard to turn a blind eye to that and just say it's a bad year. I think there are contributing factors to it. But yeah, it is, as much as Rangers fans dislike the Astros, and with good reason, you kind of got to respect what they've done here the last 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, the Rangers are done with the home portion of the schedule, and after really right about now, they're headed to the airport to head out on the final road trip of the year. That will include a stop in Oakland. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Rangers' stop in Oakland, which will be included in that will be the very last game ever played at that stadium. The team that's there today is the New York Yankees. And when we come back, we'll also talk about what Aaron Judge and the Yankees are doing in Oakland today. And we've got so much more to talk about as we get you ready for the road trip and talk about the wild card playoff races that are happening right now. But first, it's fall, right? It's the Fall Classic that we're all striving to reach each and every year. And if it's fall, that means Christmas is coming. And so I want to tell you about my favorite Christmas movie.
Okay.
Die Hard.
I don't think that's a Christmas movie.
I do. I think it's a Christmas movie, and I think it should be your favorite Christmas movie too now, because you're a diehard. If you're not, please become one. I like that as a Christmas movie, and I like you as a diehard. It's such a fun place to be. We have quite a few already, and we're looking for more. It's only $79.99 for the year, and you get a $35 shirt each and every year that you up your membership, your subscription to being a diehard. So basically, it's $45 a year after you get the free T-shirt to become a diehard, and there are lots of perks. Abby mentioned the paywall content. It's available to you at all times. She mentioned the Discord. We're going to have that available to our diehards. And what she may not have mentioned this last time is the fact that we're going to have some events for you to be a part of. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And what we're going to do is we're going to, go have a watch party. Maybe we're going to try to string something together for the playoffs even. And we're going to go have a watch party somewhere. We want you all to come down and hang out with us. It'll be a fee, not much, but you'll get 20% off, right? We'll also have some trips. Those will be a little more expensive. You still get that 20% off though, and those will be cool. Some of the other regions, we have Chicago, I'm pretty sure it was Chicago. We have Philly, Denver, Chicago, and Phoenix, but I'm pretty sure it was Chicago. I think the Bears played over in London, and they put together a whole trip, and they took a bunch of diehards. They paid, but, a bunch of diehards over there, and they got like exclusive access and stuff through us and with us through ALLCITY to what was happening with the Bears over there in London. So these are the kind of things we have on tap for you. That's why you need to become a diehard. Please do that favor for us.
Become a diehard.
Yeah.
Should I sing more?
Yeah,
no.
Please.
That'll make people not want to be diehard. But like he said, you get a really cool T-shirt. And our T-shirts are very durable, reliable, breathable. It is hot in Texas. When is it going to cool down, Rads? But we've got a great selection. And the more you buy, the more creative they become. Because Chicago, Philly, Denver, Phoenix, got some pretty fun stuff. And I love our Mavericks gear, our Cowboys gear. I think we all got a free shirt. I'm getting my Cowboys shirt on the way. What'd you get, Rads?
I got the
the Texas Chew.
Texas Chew, and then I got one coming with that little horseshoe and the Dallas skyline in it. It says DLLS.
That one is your favorite.
Classic gray. It's beautiful.
So you can match John Rad again if you want, which I would want to.
Why
or
not?
Jeff, because he bought 4. So go over to store.allcitynetwork.com and you can get some great merch. They also have gift cards for holidays or just because it's the gift that keeps on giving. Like we said, you do get a free T-shirt when you become a diehard. So just go ahead and add a few more to your closet. We would love to see the city of Dallas wearing a DLLS shirt. That'd be so cool.
We would love that. We'd take
a
pictures
photo
with you and say hi and all that. So
all the
anyway, that's your opportunity to help us and to join us and become sort of one of us, because we are fam. Not family, fam.
Fam.
That's what we are. We're fam. So I mentioned the Yankees are in Oakland now, and Aaron Judge in the 3rd inning hit one out. So number 99 now has 55. There will be 6 or 7 for them left. I'm not sure which. And can he hit one per game and at least match his record of 62. I don't know if that's possible, Jeff, but I do think it's interesting that the teams that are sort of cycling through Oakland right here at the end of the duration of that stadium, the long lifespan of that stadium, are the likes of the New York Yankees and then, one of their biggest longtime rivals, the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, yeah, the ballpark is a dump. I mean, it's terrible. I don't want to, I'm not saying anything that everybody else has been saying, and there's a reason why the ownership wanted a new stadium. It just wasn't able to be built there. But um, you know, back before Al Davis turned it into the monstrosity of Mount Davis in center field, that ballpark had a lot of charm and character, and there are a lot of big time games that have been played at that ballpark. World Series have been won there. Some great fun teams, and really those teams kind of took on the personality of the city. Small market. I think that their most diehard fans kind of loved that element of it and could wrap their arms around it. It meant some hard decisions had to be made. They ended up trading or losing their best players to free agency. But in the end, you look back at the history of just the Oakland franchise, not necessarily the Philadelphia Athletics or the Kansas City Athletics, but in Oakland, that team had some great players, some Hall of Fame players, and won World Series. So, it's a shame that this is what happened. It's a shame that whether it was the politics of the Bay Area and their unwillingness to easily help fund a new ballpark, or whether it was ownership's unwillingness to kind of meet the city in the middle. I'm not sure what it is, but it seemed like this was avoidable. Now that it's not avoidable, I hope that this last homestand, this last series with the Rangers goes well. The Thursday game is going to be. There are people who are afraid that it's going to be a fiasco. That fans are going to be running on the streets. That I don't know. They're going to be setting fires in the parking lot. I'm not sure what people are thinking, but it's one reason I'm not going. I don't want to put up with it, but it'll definitely be worth watching. And again, it's a shame for the fans there that baseball will no longer be played there.
Yeah, and we will have sound from Marcus Semien about playing at that historic ballpark. It's going to be a special weekend for Marcus Semien, no doubt, because I mean, this isn't only his time as a baseball player, but it is his time from his childhood.
Yeah.
Like the whole time he was talking to us, he just kept going back to, well, when I was a kid, my parents did this. So you can tell this is probably going to be a pretty emotional weekend.
Yeah, and to your point, Jeff, and we will have a lot more with Marcus because he has a lot of thoughts about it. We'll have that on our Tuesday, probably, and Wednesday podcast, Thursday as well, because those are the 3 games the Rangers play there. But to your point about those fans, you've been there multiple times. I've been there many, many times. I mean, they're great fans. There's just not enough of them, but you feel real bad for them.
Yeah, and these owners are independently wealthy. They're not buying baseball teams to make a profit. Baseball owners make their profit at the end when they sell the team. So this is an effort for, I think his name is John Fisher, by moving the team to Las Vegas and getting a stadium built there. The franchise value is going to increase, and he's going to make a ton of money in the end. But it's hard to you do have bills to pay during this time. There's 81 games. There's a lot of employees on a game day, whether they're seasonal or full time or whatever. And when you have 3,000 fans showing up, you're not paying bills. And it's maybe they cut some corners with pest and pest control or plumbing issues that you kept running into with this place. But there weren't a lot of upgrades done, but it just felt like it was a franchise that wasn't run at a major league level. Now they're going to go to a minor league ballpark in Sacramento for at least 2 years, and they're having to put upgrades into that place. And there was a report recently that the Players Association wasn't going to sign off on those upgrades. Well, let me tell you, this
Lord.
has a long way to go. You got to have a family room. You have to have batting cages for each team. You just have to have basic amenities that that players and teams are used to having that were not in place at the Sacramento facility. So it's just going to be an adventure the whole time, and I'm sure that at some point, um, I don't even know if they've broken ground in Las Vegas yet. It just seems like for this thing to get built on time, they got to hurry. So it's going to be this is not going to be these are not going to be 2 great years for the Oakland franchise or for the Athletics franchise, whatever they're going to be called next year.
I just got to grind through it. And to put their numbers in perspective, just general attendance for 2024, the Dodgers rack up around 48,000 per game. I would imagine a little bit even more so with Shohei as of late, but Oakland is dead last. They don't even have a total of 1 million fans throughout the ballpark this season, and they're averaging 10,000 fans a game.
That's probably generous too. Yeah.
Right. And that's about what the Sacramento ballpark seats, around 12, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
and they'll have a full crowd.
But, how many A's fans are actually in Sacramento? That's Giants country, and I think Sacramento is the Giants affiliate, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's going to be a pretty tough draw.
Yeah. That's a tough
Maybe
sell.
they can put in some fun. I worked in minor leagues for a while. Like, they put in some fun little wacky theme nights. I mean, it's almost like the more miniature it gets, the cuter it becomes.
This is a big league team, though. This isn't a minor league team.
No, I know. I'm trying to make light of a situation.
They need to make, Sacramento needs to try and make like Buffalo did when they had to host the Toronto Blue Jays during COVID. They did a really good job. It was, very well thought of.
Standards high.
And they,
as it should be.
Yeah, they should be. And it was like a major league atmosphere to all of them, and that's how it should be. Of course, now in fairness, and to your point, Jeff, in Buffalo, all the fans there are Blue Jays fans because Toronto's right across the lake, and that's their affiliate. Yeah.
It's very close, but there are a lot of ties there. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. All right, what about Judge? Let's talk about that. The chances. It's almost like we've forgotten about the chase. For another record. It seems like it would have to be Herculean at this point, though.
Yeah, that homerless drought that included the Rangers series really knocked him off course. And for him to hit 7 homers in a week, it's not impossible, but it's just not going to happen. I think that they also learned last time, he was playing every day while they were well out in front, and they probably needed to be resting him for the postseason, and they didn't. So I just think that it's probably best for the Yankees if he doesn't start to do it, and of course they want him to get hot, I would suppose, but I just think that that's too tall of a task. Even as great as he's been, 7 in a week is a tough thing to do.
That's a pretty high on pace record,
High bar, yeah. Yankees lead the A's right now 6-4, by the way, in the bottom of the 7th inning. Yeah,
and I think Aaron Judge has a ton of accomplishments on his career, but he's missing the biggest one.
Yeah.
And I think that, he already has the record for home runs. I don't really think he cares about beating himself. I think that's another important thing for fans to notice. The Yankees are at home for the remainder of the season after they get back from Oakland. There's one night that stands out to me because it's the Derek Jeter final hit at Yankee Stadium, 10th anniversary. Maybe you feel... 10 years. Yeah, maybe you feel nostalgia, and you want to do something crazy. Like, sure, no doubt. But they're going against the Orioles and the Pirates. So, again, I'm going back to he has bigger visions for this season. He's not really going to get caught up on this record.
Yeah, and so right now the Yankees have a 5.5 game lead in the division over the Orioles, who lost again today. They're the number 1 wild card right now. But who's in number 2? Oh, the Detroit Tigers, who beat the Orioles today. What a run A.J. Hinch and the Tigers have gone on here as they take 2 of 3 from the Orioles. That's after going into Kansas City and sweeping there. And now they go home as well. I mean, this is a run for the ages. I was actually talking to Kathy and Tom Grieve at the event for John Blake this morning, Jeff, and their son Tim works for the Tigers, has for years, has for decades, I think, and they're Tigers fans, of course, too, with their son working for them. But, even someone like Tom, who's been in baseball for his entire life, pretty amazed at what's happening with that team as they head toward, October here.
Well, and the teams that have the momentum oftentimes will fare really well early on in the playoffs. I kind of go back to 2007 with the Rockies. They had to come back and win that division. They had to play a tie-breaking game. They beat the Padres in the tiebreaker. And then I think they won their first 10 postseason games. I think it might have been the first 11. And then they had a long wait, and then they had to play the Red Sox and got swept. But the point being, if you go in hot and you stay hot, you got a chance. And the Tigers are hot right now. The Mets are a hot team right now. So if you can find something late in the season and keep it going into the postseason, hey, more power to you. So I'm curious to see how this all unfolds. It seems like the Orioles are kind of fading. The Yankees are doing okay. I like the Indians. Their pitching, their bullpen is so good. They can shorten games.
Guardians.
Guardians. And then I don't know that the Astros are particularly good, but again, 7 straight ALCSs, you can't put anything past them.
Listen.
Yeah, we hear Yordan Alvarez went down with a knee injury today. Not sure the severity of that yet, but certainly that could have an effect on the Houston Astros. So, Jeff, excellent stuff as always. We appreciate you. The Rangers are off tomorrow, so what are we? Off. We're off tomorrow. But we'll be back Tuesday as we keep an eye on all these races, and we keep an eye on the Rangers' last road trip, the final hurrah, the last hurrah of the season. So
a historic one.
Yeah. It's very historic. So
they played hard and had fun. Cowboys not looking like that.
Not so much. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining us, chatting with us, and hanging out. We'll be back Tuesday. I think this week we're here at 1.
I haven't looked at the schedule.
Every day. I think we're here at 1 every day. Yeah, that's right.
Confirmed.
Elijah's giving me the thumbs up over there. So 1 o'clock. Set your timer. Set your calendar. We'll be here. Hope you will too.
Spend your lunch break with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Late lunch.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for the DLLS Rangers Postgame Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.